Tyson says he's going to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How's that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his... So if it goes any other way, you know...
You give me the headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's f***ing fixed, don't you?
Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's...
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now?
You don't want to fight Jake Paul.
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off.
Jake Paul has built his boxing career on bold callouts and headline-grabbing matchups, but his newest target, Anthony Joshua, may be his most dangerous opponent yet. Over the years, Paul has amassed a huge fan base and picked up some notable victories to keep his momentum going. Still, many boxing experts are cautioning him against stepping into the ring with the two-time heavyweight champion. Joshua's crushing knockout power and extensive experience against elite competition put him on an entirely different level. Analysts warn this isn't just a gamble, it's the kind of fight that could derail Paul's boxing career in devastating fashion, potentially ending his rise in the sport for good.
Jake Paul has reached out to Anthony Joshua a few times. I've spoken to Nakisa, Jake's manager. It's never a fight we anticipated. It's never a fight we've targeted. But if you want Jake Paul to be the warm-up fight, and obviously financially it's a great opportunity for AJ, and you want to provide AJ and probably in turn Matchroom with the opportunity to extinguish Jake Paul from the world of boxing, then maybe AJ will oblige.
In a recent interview, Matchroom boxing promoter Eddie Hearn revealed that Jake Paul has become the leading candidate to face former two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in what could be one of the most talked-about crossover fights in boxing history. Hearn confirmed that active negotiations are underway between Joshua's team and Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, with both camps exploring terms for the potential blockbuster. While Hearn admitted that stepping into the ring with Joshua poses a massive risk for Paul given the Brit's devastating knockout power and elite-level experience, he stressed the fight's enormous commercial appeal. Combining Paul's massive social media influence with Joshua's global boxing stature, Hearn believes the matchup could generate worldwide buzz. As it stands, the bout is being targeted for early 2026, setting the stage for a high-stakes clash that could either solidify Paul's legitimacy in the sport or bring his ambitious rise to a crushing...
Jake Paul's manager here last week, and he's open to the fight. Any developments on that?
Lots. I mean, this bizarre world that we live in, I think Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings about that fight. There's an open dialogue between myself and Nakisa, an MVP. I don't know what to tell you, Bridgie, other than it's mental. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-50 matchup. The whole thing is bizarre. I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua.
Has added fuel to the rumors by stating that a showdown with Anthony Joshua is highly likely next year, revealing that the two have already exchanged direct messages and even spoken by phone to explore the matchup. According to Paul, Joshua personally reached out to push the idea forward, proposing that the fight be set for late 2025. With the full-scale clash taking place in early 2026, Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, has backed this timeline, confirming that negotiations are actively underway. If finalized, the bout would be a landmark event, pitting the social media sensation turned prizefighter against one of boxing's most decorated heavyweights, in a contest mixing spectacle, intrigue, and potentially career-threatening stake.
Now, I know you're after a world title, but if that doesn't materialize, I know the Tommy Fury name has been floated about. Is there any other fighters who may not be world champions that you're looking to face?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Joshua.
I think that's the main one that, we've talked a lot about is if it's not for the title, it's looking at Tommy, if he's reasonable, and then Anthony Joshua. And he's adamant that he wants to make that fight happen at the end of 2026.
Jake Paul has framed a potential fight with Anthony Joshua as more than just another big-ticket bout. He sees it as a shot of adrenaline for the entire sport of boxing. To Paul, this wouldn't merely be a headline event, but a cultural phenomenon capable of attracting millions of new viewers worldwide. Calling himself a breath of fresh air in a sport he believes is overdue for revitalization, Paul insists. His crossover appeal and mainstream reach could draw in younger audiences disconnected from traditional boxing. By combining his entertainment-driven fanbase with Joshua's established boxing pedigree, Paul envisions a one-of-a-kind spectacle, one that bridges mainstream pop culture with boxing's purest base, injecting fresh energy into a sport with
anything's possible. And so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
Boxing world has reacted sharply to Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua, with opinions ranging from skepticism to outright disbelief. Many analysts view Paul's ambition to face such a seasoned and physically dominant heavyweight as a gamble, bordering on reckless. Critics argue that while Paul has made strides in the ring, the gap in size, experience, and pedigree between him and Joshua is enormous, making the matchup seem more like a high-risk spectacle than a
But you said it's you and Joshua here. Now, is this fight done? What are we talking about?
You know, it's going to happen. Like, seriously, it's going to happen. We were talking with Turkey tonight, negotiations live in person, which are always fun. But it's going to happen, and it's just such an exciting fight that crosses the whole globe. When you ask a lot of people about certain boxers, they don't know their names. And everywhere I've been going, I just talk about Anthony, and I don't have, you know, like, I'm global, so it's just such a good fight for the sport of boxing, and people will think I will die, but I will show them why I can rise against all odds and beat him. Everyone's been wanting to see happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like...
Critics argue that Jake Paul's recent moves, especially his highly publicized win over 58-year-old Mike Tyson, highlight a recurring pattern in his boxing career. Rather than proving himself against prime, top-tier opponents, Paul has often opted for matchups that generate maximum spectacle with minimal sporting risk. His victory over Tyson, while a major commercial success, was widely seen as more of an entertainment event than a legitimate competitive challenge. Former world champion Carl Froch has been among the most vocal detractors, dismissing Paul's performance as lacking genuine boxing craft and claiming that his rise has relied far more on marketing hype than on elite...
Right, the real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, you know, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Rafael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional.
Eddie Hearn acknowledged the massive buzz a Jake Paul Anthony Joshua clash could generate, but cautioned Paul to proceed with extreme care. He described Paul as bold, if not outright reckless, for pursuing a bout against a proven, battle-hardened heavyweight like Joshua, while admitting the financial upside for both fighters would be huge. Hearn emphasized the serious dangers of putting a relative novice in the ring with a seasoned champion known for his devastating knockout power. In Hearn's view, the fight could end disastrously, either through the physical punishment of facing a much bigger, stronger opponent or the lasting sting of public embarrassment. Though he conceded the matchup would be a global spectacle, Hearn was clear in his belief that the risks far outweigh the rewards.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world, make the fight.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.